Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in to Pittsburgh's Ring Talk. As always, we have producer, mentor, TV host Luther Dupree and Jr., and of course, award-winning writer, TV host, boxing announcer, NFL scout, Smoking Jim Frazier, and I am Claudio Relsano. It's great to be with you guys, and thank you for watching. Well, we have a big event coming up tonight. And it is an event. I think it's breaking pay-per-view boxing records, if I'm not mistaken. And I think they priced it right at $50. And that is the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones Jr. Boxing match, exhibition boxing match. And we'll get to that word exhibition here in a little bit and see if it was a good thing to put that word in there. But Luther, let me start off with you. Number one, do you think that it's a good event to have? And there's an undercard. There's Logan Paul, I believe his name is, against Nate Robinson, former NBA basketball player. And and there's a few other fighters on the card, which we will talk about. But do you think the entire event is a good event to have?
I think it's a little excitement. It brings back, everybody remembers Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. I don't think it's great for the sport because I think it's taking pay-per-view money out of the sport. Yes, it'll put some eyeballs on there, but when they see these two old guys way past their prime, it'll be exciting, but I don't think it's really good for the sport. You have a big pay-per-view with Earl Spence and Danny Garcia. These guys come in and already just getting a big bag from the sport of boxing. And, they're fighting for some fake belt. I think it's exciting, but I don't think it's really good for the sport. I'll watch, of course, but no, I'm not really hype about this. I don't really understand the purpose of this. They're going to start a senior tour or something. I don't like it at all, Claudia. I told you all that before. It'll do big numbers, but it's not good for the sport.
Smoking Jim, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's a good event?
Jim, come off mute. Jim, unmute your mic.
My fault. You must have muted it.
We'll get this technology thing together, Smoking Jim and Claudia, one of these days.
How long is the show today, Claudia? How long is the show?
About what?
Just a couple minutes, about 30 minutes.
Huh?
Jim,
30 minutes. Okay, because Luther hogged up half the show and didn't even answer the question. But I'll answer the question. hey, listen, this is the best thing in the world for not only sports, but boxing. Y'all act like boxing's a combat sport, man. Hey, listen, people will watch guys fight at the bar, outside the playground. If you're going to fight, people going to stop and watch. Listen.
Yeah.
I always say, what good is a warrior without a war? Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. were born to do this. That's what they are. They're fighters. Claudio Relsano is a baseball coach. I mean, he would be sick if somebody said, Claudio, at X number of age, you got to retire from being a baseball coach. I got a good friend of mine that's an air traffic controller. He got to retire at 55, I think it is. You know what I mean? He got to retire in a year or two. He's not going to know what to do with his life. He loves doing that. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, this is great for boxing. Forget about the health. Forget about the wealth. Forget about somebody having permanent damage. They're there. They're a piece of meat. They're there for my entertainment, and I can't wait. I just hope so. I can't wait. I love both of these guys. I know both of them, and I'm hoping somebody get knocked out. I don't care who.
Well, I think it's a good event for boxing. These are two crossover athletes that your non-boxing fan is going to watch. I'm glad they're both getting paid a nice. Well, no, and I think everybody knows that. Okay, but you mentioned Spence and Garcia. They're in their prime, and I don't think they're going to do the numbers that these guys are going to do. It's all about names. It's all about names and attraction. Yes, Spence, a great fighter. Crawford's a great fighter. Garcia's a great fighter. But these people, they bring Jones and Tyson conjure up memories. They conjure up a lot of fans, and people are excited to see this. I think it's a great event as long as nobody gets hurt. Now, let me ask you guys this. the California Athletic Association, I believe it's called CAA, the commissioner said, as soon as there's a cut, we're stopping it. As soon as there's a knockdown, we're stopping it. They have 12-ounce gloves, 2-minute rounds, 8 rounds. People were starting to think that maybe it's just going to be clutch and hold, a little jab. I don't see that. Jim keeps saying the word warrior. These guys have been in the ring. Okay, as soon as Tyson tries to throw a haymaker, Jones is going to pull back and throw a jab. As soon as Jones hits Tyson with a good shot in the face, Tyson's just not going to sit there and smile. Instinctively, he's going to try to go, for a big shot. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think they're going to hold each other and clown around? So, in other words, what do you expect, Smoking Jim?
Well, first of all, this ain't boxing. Roy Jones is a boxer. Muhammad Ali's a boxer. Mike Tyson was never a boxer. He's a fighter. Mike Tyson could never get sparring partners because he didn't know how to play. He was like Joe Louis, man. These guys, man. Hey, when the bell rings, whether it's in training camp or young George Foreman was the same way. Mike Tyson's looking to knock you out. He's always been a short fighter with short arms. His instinct is to get inside and throw bombs, and that's what he's going to do. He always knocked out his sparring partners. He couldn't keep those guys. And if Roy Jones Jr., if he don't be careful the first 2 rounds, he'll get knocked out today.
Luther, your thoughts on that? What do you? Do you think that we'll get to what each has to do to win, but do you think they're going to actually try to win? Do you think instincts are going to take over?
Of course, I think Tyson's going for the knockout from the very beginning. He'll go hard for about 2 minutes of the first and second round. Or if it's not over by then, he'll tire out and quit, possibly like he did the last time we saw him. But he's going for the knockout. Roy Jones, I see him out there. He's still looking smooth. Reflexes gone. His chin completely gone. I feel, it's a dangerous thing. Roy may not make it out of this fight. You look at Tyson's training videos. He's going for blood. I'm back.
Yep.
He's knocking out his trainer, hit the guy in the face. I feel bad for Roy. We've met him a couple times. Great guy. Why is he still fighting? He should have stopped fighting 8 fights ago before his career ended. We saw him get laid out. It's going to be a bloodbath, and I don't want to see that for a 51-year-old guy. Tyson's 54. Jim turning 51. Terrible. Jim just likes to see somebody. Jim would like to see somebody die in the ring. He's okay with that. I'm not. Let these old guys do something else. They should be supporting these young guys, not trying to take a bag out of the sport. I don't have any respect for Mike Tyson. Since he's retired, I don't like the way he's moved. He's disrespected local champions. He hates Wilder. Come on, guys. I don't like it. They're fighting for some fake belt. Let it go. Do something else. They both have a name. Real disappointed in this fight and all the hype it's getting.
I understand what both of you are saying. I'm not riding the fence here. Jim, again, makes a great point. These guys are warriors, and they always feel – John Madden once said every player, every NFL player, but really every athlete thinks he has one more hit in him, one more throw, one more punch, and one more race. And I agree with that. And Luther, I understand what you're saying too, as far as – because this isn't like the senior tour in golf, okay, or when they tried many years ago to have a senior baseball league. As they say, you don't play boxing, okay? So I get that. But at the same time, I think, nobody's going to turn down $10 million. Nobody's going to turn down the adulation that you're going to get from the fans when they cheer your name. Nobody's going to – everybody likes to see their name on TV. And also you got to understand something. This is a business. This is a business for these guys. Now, so I understand both of you guys make great points. So let me ask you this, and I'll lead off with this one. As far as for Tyson to win, everybody thinks that he's just going to go headhunting and that's it. I think that he's going to go to the body first because Jones, even though he's got a small head and it's a small target, I think he's going to go to the body first. Okay, then he's going to try to send a shot to the head and knock him out. But he's definitely going to try to knock him out. 2-minute rounds favors Mike Tyson. Now, the 12-ounce gloves favor Roy Jones, but I still think, you get hit with a Tyson shot, you're going to feel it. Now, Luther, you said Tyson's last few fights, he didn't do well. I don't think he had it in his heart to fight. I think mentally he just didn't want it anymore. But I think that's what Tyson has to do to win. Go to the body, then go to the head. Smoking Jim, what do you think Tyson has to do to win the fight?
Well, first of all, everybody's overlooking Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. got more incentive in this fight than Iron Mike Tyson have. Don't forget, Roy Jones Jr. has dual citizenship. He's also a citizen of Russia. And after the 2016 election, Roy Jones Jr. said, Russia fixed the election. So he got to pay a price, man. Listen, if Roy Jones Jr. don't win and keep fighting and pay off the guys in Russia, they'll make him a 210-pound Russian pierogi. So he got the incentive to not only fight this fight, but to continue fighting because he shot off his mouth as a Russian citizen. But hey, listen, no headgears, 2-minute rounds, everything is favoring Iron Mike Tyson. Listen, I love Roy Jones Jr., but Roy Jones Jr. has never been the drawing card like a Mike Tyson, a Muhammad Ali, a Sugar Ray Leonard. He was always more like a Wilder. But anyhow, but Roy Jones Jr. is getting paid. Roy Jones Jr. is getting that big money because of Iron Mike Tyson. I'm predicting a draw, and they fight again in the next 3 months, and everybody makes out Roy Jones and Russia.
Excellent point. Excellent point, Jim.
And Vinny's a rep. Vinny's one of the judges board.
Before we get you in, Luther, Jim, that's an excellent point. I say it all the time. It's a business, okay? And a friend of mine, Vince Kaplak, who's a former 11-time champion wrestler, always says life is like professional wrestling. And you're right. This could do something. They could have a scrap. They could break the fight up. And, hey, we're going to fight for real next time. And who the hell knows what's going to happen? Jim, excellent point. Luther, what does Tyson need to do to win this fight?
It's what Jim said. I mean, all the rules favor Tyson. Short rounds. We know he ran out of gas as a youngster. Listen,
Luther sounds disgusted. Luther's upset about this fight.
I don't like old guys coming in and taking the eye off the sport. If you want to come back, support one of these young guys instead of getting out there stealing his bag. You got a YouTuber on the card fighting an ex-basketball player. I don't like the whole concept. But Tyson, all he has to go in there, throw a couple punches. They might have a gentleman's agreement. Hey, we'll go 3 rounds and stop it. Let's get this bag. None of us get hurt. I wouldn't make it if I'm Roy because Tyson never followed the rules. He already admitted he used to have a Wizinator. I didn't know about what a Wizinator was until he started talking about how he beat drug tests. I don't trust this guy at all. He's going to go in there, go for broke. Roy Jones is a warrior. I respect that. But he's playing with his life. He may lay it all down at 51. And when you're 51, you catch a body shot, you may never come back right. But yeah, he just has to go for broke. Roy Jones' chin is gone. Hits him a couple times. Roy may go to sleep and not see the end of this fight.
Now, Luther, what do you think Roy Jones has to do to win the fight?
Run. Look for help for the referee.
Tag Tommy Yankello.
Look for a safe place to land is what they say. That's what he needs to do. He has no chance of winning this. Run for 2 rounds. Maybe Mike Tyson will run out of gas and then try to land a couple punches. But just run for your life because his life definitely depends on it.
Smoking Jim, what does Roy Jones have to do to win the fight?
Well, first of all, hey, Evander Holyfield, a great warrior, unlike Wilder. Evander Holyfield.
You gonna stop all this Wilder hate, Smoking Jim?
I haven't talked about his fiance yet, so I'm gonna get off Wilder. But listen, Evander Holyfield said any man over 200 pounds can knock you out. Roy Jones Jr. is weighing in at 210 pounds, and don't forget, other than Cooney, Smoking Joe Frazier, Tommy Morrison, I think that Roy Jones Jr. got one of the sneakiest left hooks in boxing history. It's sneaky, it's quick. He got long arms for a guy his height. And I think that Roy Jones Jr., don't forget, Roy Jones Jr. He's crazy
Take this
too.
picture off of
I mean,
Vinny. I don't want to see Vinny get hit. Go ahead.
yeah, Roy Jones Jr. got 5,000 chickens. He was the biggest cockfighter in the history of the country. If it don't be for Michael Vick going to jail, Roy Jones Jr. would still be cockfighting. Don't forget, his dad was a former Marine. His dad was a professional fighter, a good professional fighter. Roy Jones grew up with this. This is all he wanted to do his whole life. And I tell you what, he got in great shape for this fight. And I got a lot of respect for Tommy Yankello. If anybody knows
Yep.
how to beat Mike Tyson, it's Tommy Yankello.
How many fighters did he have
Eric.
that beat Mike Tyson, Smoking Joe?
For me?
How many fighters did Tommy have that beat Mike Tyson?
How many fighters did Tommy have that had the talent to beat Mike Tyson?
I just
He's
said- I
never
just
had a
said,
he's never had a he's never had a fighter with the talent to beat Mike Tyson until now. Yeah, you're
until
right.
now, 51. All right. Oh, all right.
We have something from Eric Witt. He has Tyson all the way. But I think that what Jones has to do, Lee McGinnis said they'll be on Medicare. But I think what Jones has to do, and you guys know, you know, I think this.
Man.
I think what Jones has to do is fight on that back leg. What do you guys think of this? Fight on that back leg. Let Tyson come in and land that jab, and he's going to have to move. Okay. Because, I mean, okay, you say, well, he can take the Buster Douglas page. Well, he ain't going to be like Buster Douglas, okay? He's not going to move like Buster. He never did. But, and he's not as big as Buster. He doesn't have the pop Buster has. But I think what Jones has to do, fight on that back leg, let Tyson come in, and then jab him, and he's going to have to move a lot. And then when Tyson comes in, he's going to have to hold him, okay? For Tyson to win, as I said earlier, he's going to have to get in, hit the body, then go to the head. And I see he keeps putting this. Now, when Vinny fought Jones was in his prime. The one round that Vinny did well is when he mauled him, and that's what you have to do. And Jones had an issue with it. You're not going to outbox Jones, and Tyson isn't going to. John Ruiz drove me nuts when he said, I'm going to outbox Roy Jones Jr. No, you're not. You're a big heavyweight. Go in there and slug. He didn't do it. That's why he lost. Now, Jones, we've said it on this show 1,000 times, the power puncher always has a shot. And Lee McGinnis has a great thing there. Roy better stay off the ropes. He better stay off the ropes. He better move. Okay. But the boxer loses his speed. He loses his footwork. He loses Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali, all those guys. Camacho, you lose that quickness. The power is the last thing to go. Now, before we go on about the rest of the card and some other interesting things about the card, you guys kind of already touched on it, but Smoking Jim, what is your exact prediction? What round? What do you think is going to happen? What do you think?
I think it's well, they got celebrity judges, so
Vinny,
going to get into that.
Hopefully, Robin Givens and Dawn King are two of the judges. But hey, listen, I think that it's going to be brutal. I think the referee will jump in anytime Mike Tyson does anything. Any blood, I don't know if it's only 2-minute rounds, but they may take a half hour to clean the ring in between rounds, to be COVID free. But listen, I think it's going to be staged at some point. I think it's going to be a draw. Yeah, I don't think Buster's coming back for the Legend Series. I don't know if he can get down from 400 pounds. But listen, this is Mike Tyson's company now. He wants to put on legend boxing matches and maybe even get Jerry Rice back in the NFL.
Jerry.
Okay.
All I know, Tyson, he should have fought Evander or somebody for this fight. Shannon Briggs is calling all these guys out.
Yeah, Shannon Briggs.
Yeah, we'll see. We got a long one from Vince here. He said he's going with Roy because of Tommy Yankello. I don't think Tyson will touch him. Nobody touched Paul Spadafora, and nobody will touch a Yankello trained fighter. Jones by decision. Wow. I never heard.
And he's got a great point. He's got a great point. Tommy, and we're going to get into some other aspects of this event. But Tommy's a great trainer. He's one of the best out there, in my opinion. And if, like Jim said at the outset, if anybody can help Jones win this fight, it's Tommy. But like Mike Tyson did say one time, everybody has a plan till I hit him. Now, having said that, again, Jones is going to have to move. He's going to, and for 2 minutes, he's going to be in good enough shape. We said that the 2 minutes favor Tyson, but in a way, it may favor Jones too, because he can move for 2 rounds. That extra minute can be hell. Okay, but he's going to move. I think he's going to do the bolo. And one thing about Jones is he does throw from different parts. He's not orthodox. He just doesn't throw straight. He'll throw from 3/4 below. He'll throw an uppercut, and that's going to be tough. And he's going to have to use that hand speed and pepper Tyson a lot. And I think it's going to be more competitive than people think until, again, Tyson has the big eraser with the big shot. But I think it's entertaining as long as nobody gets hurt. I hope that the referee, as soon as one good punch lands, because I know Jim will lose his mind.
Business. This is the hurt business.
What's that?
Somebody is going to get hurt. Somebody's getting hurt.
I'm saying that as soon as there's one punch and he jumps in. Now, okay, so both you guys have Tyson. I'm thinking, Tyson has less to do.
Claudia, real quick, we had Lee McGinnis join the show. Lee, are you with us?
What's up, Lee?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up, Lee?
What's going on?
I'm taking a quick lunch break at work. Hey, one thing about this fight, you got to remember, they fighting with 12-ounce gloves. Tyson's at his fight weight, 220. And these guys, you got to go back. You got to go based off their last fight. Rory's been getting his chin tapped. Tyson was only good for 6 rounds. So I seen something like this years ago with, I think it was Razor Ruddock. They got in the ring, but it was a real fight.
Yep.
One thing is that y'all talk about Rory's hand speed and his jab, but one of Rory's flaws is staying on the ropes too long, and that's where Tyson's going to capitalize, with Rory staying on the ropes too long.
Right. No, I'm with you. And I think I'm starting to think about what Jim said about it being a draw, or maybe something happening during the fight where they have a real fight, so-called real fight. Because I think these guys are going to try to go in there and try to impress. They have pride too. They're not going to go in there and just hold around and screw around. I really think I'm starting to lean towards Jim about them having a second fight, one for the record books. But another interesting thing about this fight that Pittsburgh's Ring Talk has a big connection here. Okay, Now we've all met Roy Jones. I've never met Tyson because Smoking Jim, and he dogged me and Luther, but that's another story. Vinny Paz, he's a friend of the show. Obviously, he's been on our show. Tommy Yankello's a friend of the show. Jimmy Birchfield, one of the promoters, is a friend of the show, and Joey Cusimano, who's fighting on the undercard. He's fighting for a silver belt. He's a heavyweight against Nick Jones. So Pittsburgh's Ring Talk, which is us, Smoking Jim, Luther, and myself, we have a lot of interest in this event because there's a lot of guys that we know or are friends with that are participating. So let's talk a little bit about the undercard real quick. That's Logan Paul, who I don't know who he is, but apparently he's some YouTube guy.
He's an internet star. He's an internet star. Helping his brother do things on the internet. Now they're trying to get in the sport of boxing. And they're fighting Nate Robinson.
He's fighting Nate Robinson. What's Nate Robinson's connection to boxing? I don't know. But
right.
I mean,
he was a heck of an athlete.
So Luther, what do you think about this matchup?
Well, I don't know what to say. Paul, he's an internet guy. He's just getting a lot of hype, has a lot of followers. Nate Robinson, at one time, he was a great athlete, slam dunk champion at 5'9". So you know what kind of athlete you have to be. I don't know what to say. I'm going to go with the athlete over a YouTuber anytime. So I think Nate Robinson can do it. He's given up a lot of size and height, but
good point.
I guess he'll do something. But again, it's more of a circus. You're not going to see technique. I don't know how much power either guy has. So we'll see. But I guess I'll go with the athlete over a YouTuber anytime.
That's a good point. I like what you said there, the athlete over the YouTuber. Smoking Jim, what do you think?
Well, Nate Robinson got into boxing because Michael Jordan called him the B word, but now he's trying to prove everybody that he's not that.
You heard that, huh, Jim?
But hey, man, anybody that gets in the ring, man, I don't care if you're a YouTuber or what, you got a lot of courage, you got a lot of heart, man. So, hey, anything can happen when the bell rings. This is fun, whether you're a YouTuber, whether you're the greatest tough man fighter in the history of the world, and winner take all, like Ali McGinnis, undefeated professional as well. So, hey, anybody that get in that ring, man, I got respect for. I think, I give Nate Robinson an opportunity. Basketball and football, so we know his heart ain't all the way there. But let's see what happens when he gets hit.
Lee McGinnis, what do you think about this fight?
I really didn't. Can you hear me? Oh no, I really didn't follow up. I didn't really follow up on the other matchups. I've seen the names. I know Badu Jack is on here. I'm not impressed with him.
Right.
Never been impressed with him. But I mean, it's all entertainment, and I don't know if Robinson has a background. If he comes out fighting like his Jackie Robinson because of history.
Hey, well, Vince Caplight makes a good point. Logan Paul lost his last fight against another YouTube guy. And Nate Robinson, Vinny's the guy who won a slam dunk competition a few years ago. He's about 5'9", something like that.
Yeah,
but Luther makes a great point that I haven't heard anybody say. You take the athlete over the YouTuber. But there's some other guys. Jimmy Birchfield's guy, Irvin Gonzalez is fighting. Joey Cusumano's fighting. Another guy named Ortiz is fighting. So there are some, quotes, legitimate fighters.
Luis Ortiz?
No. He
just dominated.
He's not the only Ortiz in the world now, Luke.
What'd you say?
But I think it's going to be an entertaining card. Again, it depends what you expect. If you expect, the greatest fights of all time, no. But I do think that the Jones-Tyson fight, I think it's split 50-50. I think some people think it's going to be a sham. I don't. I think, and to repeat, I'm starting to lean towards Jim, and something's going to happen that's going to make them go for a second fight. But so hopefully it'll be entertaining. $50 is a great price for it. They didn't outprice it, and it's going through the roof. I think it's going to do better numbers than.
Should be free.
But it can't be free. I think it's going to be better than the Spence Garcia fight, Luther. To be honest with you, numbers wise.
Oh, of course, because these two guys have names. They, everybody loves Mike Tyson. Everybody wants to be like Mike, but it's a circus.
That's just for example, sport. That's just like, for example, Madonna. She's had it, right, in all ways. But there's girls out there who are prettier and sexier and better singers. But Madonna's going to command the bigger numbers because of who she is. Okay, and at least I don't think she's what she used to be. What the hell? She's 60. But she's still making a ton of money. She's still
like Tyson and Roy Jones. She has a lot of miles on her. Just like these guys. When you want to go see a concert, you're not going to see a Madonna. You know what you're going to get.
Right.
I'd like to see somebody in the prime of their life than two old guys going after it. Two guys that have been laid out. I just don't like what they're doing. They should be supporting these young guys. I don't see these guys out here
they're
really
supporting themselves, Luther. It's all about making a buck. They're not worried about Spence, Crawford, or anybody else. They're worried about making a buck, and I don't blame them.
Hey, Claudio.
Now another thing, yes, sir.
Hey, Claudio. Listen.
Yes.
The heavyweight always made the money, but when Sugar Ray Leonard turned professional, he automatically went all the way to the same level as Muhammad Ali. Spence, because he's charismatic, man. He captured the American people. Spence has been fighting for 10 years, and if he was a fly, he couldn't pull nobody to the manure. This is a guy nobody wants to see. He tried to commit suicide and still don't get any
Hey, Jim, you're not
sympathy,
going to
man.
sit there and say that slander about Earl Spence. Stop that line, man. Earl Spence has come up and dominated the sport. He's the #1 pay-per-view attraction right now. Canelo's on some app. There's nobody pulling in the numbers that Earl Spence in. Every fight he's had has been 350. It's not the millions that they did years ago. Nobody will do a million. This fight is not going to do a million pay-per-view because too many people are streaming. So stop that.
Well,
The
do me a
sport
favor,
was not as popular back
do me a
then.
favor.
Don't go there, Smoker
Do me a
Jim.
favor.
Stop that.
If you love Spence so
Hey,
much,
Lou,
ride
can I say-
shotgun with him. Ride shotgun with Spence, Lou.
Always throwing the shots, man. Always
Go ahead,
throwing
Lee.
the shots. Listen,
What were you going to say,
a
Lee?
terrible car accident. You know, whatever. He had a
What?
car accident, come back. This should be the comeback story in sports. Nobody has come back this soon from a horrific car accident like that. You know, the man couldn't eat, couldn't sleep.
Vinny
he had to get
Paz
all
did.
his teeth cleared.
Vinny Paz did. Don't forget about that.
Vinny Paz did, came from a broken neck. Exactly. That's true. And that's been how long? 20 years ago. So just like that was a big story then, this should be the biggest story in sports now. Spence, the greatest welterweight, pound for pound #1. He survived all these guys and a car accident. He's #1. Don't disrespect that man, Smoking Jim. Stop that. Everybody's ducking him, including Terrence Crawford and all these other guys. He has the best resume going in sports. He's fighting 3 Hall of Famers back to back to back. Lee, I know you wanted to say something though.
Go ahead, Lee.
I mean, I got Garcia knocking out Spence, just to let you know, with that left hook.
We got Smoking Jim and Smoking Lee on the show today. Go ahead, Smoking Lee.
I'm going to get invited to these boxing shows. I did predict, and you know I'm about to say, that Ruiz will beat Joshua. And you all laughed at me, and I was totally right. But
Yeah.
to this Roy Jones.
When AJ got drugged, something was wrong with him. He went in there and had a panic attack before the fight. He was drugged just like Wilder was drugged in the second fight.
Luther doesn't think any fighter that he wants to win, when they lose, he doesn't think they lost legitimately. He still thinks Fury was
Boxing's a dirty sport, and you know there's a lot of dirt that was going on in both of those fights. Come on, dirty gloves.
Hey, Lee, Jim, pretty soon Luther's going to say that Garcia or Crawford rigged Spence's car when he wrecked. He's going to come up with something.
hey, well, before it happened, Crawford's trainer did say Spence was partying too much. And then the next week he has that car accident. So I don't know. There might have been some funny business going on.
Hey, you know what? I heard the other day. Go ahead, Lee.
One thing I want to say with 2-minute rounds is going to be a lot of urgency. So it might be 8 rounds. This is not 3-minute rounds where you got to fill out. These guys got to get busy quick. When you watch a 12-round fight, you know, they to the 4th round, then you get to the 7th round, then you get to the championship rounds. So there's going to be urgency. If there's not urgency, there's going to be boos.
Excellent point. Well, I think the whole card will be entertaining. Now, this week, Oscar De La Hoya, I believe he's 46, said that there's a 90% chance that he's going to fight in 2021. And the guy that he's targeting is Triple G. Luther, I know what you're going to say, but what do you think about this?
Well, Triple G is pretty much done. Oscar, you know, I guess he's, you know, finished. He lost the biggest fighter in boxing, Canelo, so he has to do something to save his struggling Golden Boy promotions. So now he has to come out of retirement too. You know, I don't know where he looks like he's in good shape. I think he stopped wearing all the dresses and all the women's lingerie that he was wearing in the past. So maybe he's going to take the sport seriously again. I would watch that fight. I don't like Triple G, and I would give Oscar De La Hoya a chance against him. I think Triple G is done. He's very overrated, has done top competition throughout his career, wouldn't fight Andre Ward. So, yes, I think Oscar could come back. He's still on the right side of 50. So I think he could come back and beat some of these old guys. So I'm not too mad about it. Come back, Oscar.
Really? Wow. Okay. Smoking Jim. Oscar versus Triple
Well,
G.
like you made a great point earlier, Claudio, when you're saying the last thing that leaves you as a fighter is power, and Oscar never had it. All the things that he had left him. His legs are gone. His
Yeah.
reflexes are gone. His hand speed is gone. Triple G killing in the ring.
Triple G is
Oscar.
done.
Listen, let it go, Oscar. I don't know why you want to, come back here. Very smart businessman.
Is he?
I
He
think
just
he's
lost
the
Canelo, Jim. He just lost Canelo. Is he that smart?
well, he's the number one Canadian. He's number one Mexican promoter going, man. So give him credit for that.
That or
So
the only
hey,
one. Maybe he's also the only one. I don't know, Jim.
huh?
He may be the only Mexican promoter in big time sports too. But he just lost Canelo.
Uh,
It's big fish.
uh, well, in a couple games, Tua beat all-time leading passer for Samoans. So I mean, give him credit where credit is due, Lou.
Lee, what do you think about Triple G against Oscar? I'm with Jim. I think he was never a big puncher. I think he's lost. We said at the beginning of the show, you lose your hand speed, lose your foot speed, lose your instincts, lose your movement. Power's last thing to go. Lee, what do you think of Triple G versus Oscar if it happens?
A lot of these guys is coming back because what they see in boxing, as far as the heavyweight, Tyson came back even though he got a metal plate in his neck. He's coming back because there was a time where the heavyweight division was dead, like the cruiserweight division. I think the thing about Oscar is it's a money issue because if you remember his fight with Pacquiao, he had to get hydrated. Freddie Roach looked at his arms and he got hydrated with the IV. So, why are you coming back fighting a world champion? Why don't you go fight Canelo, make another Rocky V, the one guy you've been promoting all these years? I think it's a bad.
All right.
Pacquiao.
Now, something Luther's going to like to talk about, and that's two young up-and-coming heavyweights. And that's Joe Joyce and Daniel Dubois, which Luther liked him from day one. Luther, let's start with you. Let's talk about that fight that's coming up soon. What do you think about that heavyweight matchup? Two young studs.
Yes, definitely. This should be getting more hype. We're talking
and
about
one person who's going to watch and smoking, Jim, and that's Luther. But go ahead.
Listen, man, you're talking about Daniel Dubois. He is the future heavyweight champion of the world. Speed, power in both hands. This guy just knocks everybody out. I haven't seen a great heavyweight from the UK since Lennox Lewis. He's the next one right in line. He's going to be a champion, dominant, fast, big size, and he's fighting an undefeated Joe Joyce. It's going to be definitely a great, all kind of exciting. I'm going to run some of his highlights since some of these people don't see, but it's going to be a great bombs thrown. He'll knock them out in about 5 rounds, but it's not a bum fest like we see sometimes in the U.S. These are two good young heavyweights, and Daniel Dubois is amazing. Let me run some of these highlights here so you guys can get a quick viewpoint of what I'm talking about. But yeah, it should be the fight of the year in the heavyweight division.
Smoking Jim.
Well, first of all, Joyce is 6'6". He's about 40 years old and only got about 10 fights, so he don't love the sport. He love
got in it
boxing. So it's another
setup.
It's another setup for Du Bois.
Undefeated fighter for the British title heavyweight champion. Listen, this Dubois, power in both hands. He's young. He has a great
one is he?
hand.
Which one is he there? Which one is he there?
The one with the boys, the black guy. Again, he goes to the body, power.
Hey,
He's putting guys to sleep.
Look like an amateur to me.
Always hating on the UK fighters. He's the best since Lennox Lewis. He's knocked out Anthony Joshua in a couple sparring sessions. That's part of the reason why he didn't beat Andy Ruiz. It's on record. This guy is a monster. AJ's ducking him already like he's ducking Wilder.
What about you, Lee? What do you think about this matchup?
Lee, you still with us?
I think
Lee went back to work.
Can you hear me?
Lee, we hear you now, man.
He has no hands. The other guy's a technical fighter, has good combinations and power. But Joyce does have power, so they're both giants. Whoever catches who first can end the fight.
Joe Joyce is one of the slowest fighters I've ever seen. We had a fighter. We used to do fights, Jim, and we talked about guys in minutes. This guy punches, and it takes minutes for this guy to throw a couple combinations. The boys is going to catch him. He's too fast and he's too strong for Joe Joyce. But it should be good for that last 8 rounds.
You call this guy fast?
You
call this guy fast?
What's that?
He didn't even hit this guy, and he went down. Wow.
He hasn't had the best opponents. But he's climbing the ladder. Hey, Luther, didn't Dubois go down?
A lot of heavyweights. Pardon me?
Luther. Didn't Dubois go down a few fights ago?
No, you're thinking a Jogba went down.
Oh, that's
Dubois
right.
has never been down.
Right.
F.A. and Jogba, the African Assassin Part 2, went down a couple fights ago.
Now, we'll end the show on this. Fury says that he's moving on from Wilder. He's starting to talk about Dillian White. So I guess it's not looking like we're going to see a Wilder Fury 3. Luther, go ahead. What do you think of that?
You know what I think about it. Tyson Fury is a ducker. He's scared of Wilder. Everybody knows he cheated with loaded gloves in that second fight. He's a ducker. They had a contract agreed for a trilogy, and he's running. He's running to try to get the bag with AJ. Wilder's taking him to court. He has the medical advice. He has the medical records, and that's why there is going to have to be a trilogy, or Fury's going to get stripped from the title. This should be getting talked about more. When you have a trilogy agreed upon, you're supposed to finish it. When they had to draw and they were supposed to fight the second time, Fury went and fought 2 bums, and Wilder still left it open. No respect for Fury. He has a history of cheating. He's going in the ring with dirty gloves. His thumb wasn't in there. He's tested positive for steroids and was suspended from the sport. Eddie Cotton, a Hall of Fame referee, said Fury was the dirtiest fighter he's ever refereed in his whole career, and he refereed Galata twice. That's how dirty the bum is. He should get no support from the U.S. media. Fury is a dirty fighter. He cheats. His sparring partners have even talked about how dirty he was. And the trilogy, he doesn't want it because he knows he's going to get put to sleep like he did in the first one. And that first fight should have been stopped.
Now, let's get to Smoking Jim, who predicted a knockout. He predicted Fury was going to knock Wilder out. He's one of the few people who did. Smoking Jim, what about this? Do you think Fury will fight Wilder, or you think they're both going to move on? It seems like Fury is talking about Joshua, and it seems like
right. Fury is ducking. That's the language.
He's talking about Joshua
ducking right now,
and Wilder's talking about Dillian White.
Smoking Jim. I tell you what. I tell you what. Wilder may win in court because his whole family's used to being in court. So Luther got a point there. Hey, listen, man. Muhammad Ali never fought George Foreman again, man. Listen, Wilder had his opportunity
because he left the sport.
Wilder had his opportunity to beat him in the ring, and he got his butt kicked. I'm the only one on the planet that predicted a Fury who can punch. I said he could knock him out as early as the first or second round. He annihilated Wilder. Wilder didn't prepare. He had his opportunity and blew it. There's bigger money across the pond. Why fight Wilder? Wilder ain't a draw. You know what I mean? This is a man that ain't got a passport to go overseas to fight. So you got to fight him in his hometown, Alabama, or fight him in, the prison system wrong way somewhere, man. But, hey, listen, he blew his opportunity, Lou. All he wanted to be,
how did he blow his
to go down as
the trilogy's agreed upon.
Because Fury's not fighting him. That's how he blew his opportunity. He blew his opportunity by laying on his back the night of the fight and the night before the fight.
This fight should have been stopped. The first fight should have been stopped on this knockout right here. You always making,
Hey, he should have stopped that pre-fight thing with his fiance. That would have helped him. Late show, it took all his legs away, Luther. He had his opportunity, and she's gonna leave him in a minute if he don't win this court battle.
Listen, the fact that he even had to go to court is a disgrace, and you know it, Smoking Jim. You're a fighter.
No, I don't.
Fight. Stop that.
You know what could happen,
Why
though,
the man
Luther?
got to fight?
Go ahead,
Why the
Jim.
man got to fight him again? Why the man got to fight him again when he knocked him down
They have
about
a
6
contract.
times, Lou?
Smoking Jim.
Huh?
A contract. We know you don't respect contracts, but if you have a
No, you don't
contract
have to.
for a trilogy, you should fight that trilogy. There's no reason there should have
You
been.
know what could happen? You know what could happen, Luther? It happened with
What?
Ali Frazier and a lot of trilogies. They don't have to fight each other in succession. Okay. Wilder has he's talking about Dillian White. Fury's talking about whoever.
No.
Maybe
Let's say it right, Claudio. He's talking about Fury, but because Fury is ducking, they said who else would be in line. So he threw out
whatever.
the
I still think that they're going to fight a third fight, just not maybe in succession. Lee, what do you think about the Wilder going his way? And I'm sorry, Wilder fighting perhaps Dillian White and Fury fighting whoever he's fighting next.
Conversation is wrong, Claudio.
A lot of time has passed due to the COVID, but they should try to make the fight happen. Though Tyson Fury did cheat. The first fight he did get knocked out, but I think that they just might move on. It's wrong for Fury what he's doing, but also they really need to investigate that glove gate. They really need to. It didn't look right.
Well, I would. Okay, now I do think that I would like them to fight next. I don't think that they should fight other opponents because the name Fury and Wilder is still hot and still has interest, and it's not guaranteed that they're going to beat their next opponent. Okay, so I think they'd be smart to do that, to fight each other. As far as the glove thing is concerned, that's been done before. I would be surprised. Although again, I'm not riding the fence. I never thought that Fury would bang him the way he did, okay, because he doesn't have a history of it. All right. Now all of a sudden he's knocking him pretty good. It could be from that ear shot. That could have been some imbalance there. That's what I'm leaning towards. As far as something in the glove, Lee and Luther and Jim, yes, it's happened. We've all seen it happen. I would be surprised if it happened this time because I would think that this magnitude of a fight, the correct people are in the dressing rooms. And don't forget, your opponent, like Wilder, has a representative in the locker room watching those hands getting taped.
Yeah, and so did Cotto. Just because you have someone in there doesn't mean the guy's not going to cheat. You know what I mean? All these fighters
the odds are lower.
Pardon me?
But like Jim said, and Holyfield said this, and again, he makes a great point. Anybody over 210, 220 pounds, okay, that's a big man. And Fury, what was he, 270, whatever he was? Again, I was surprised. Jim wasn't. I was surprised that he was able to do that kind of damage. But again, maybe that ear shot, obviously when you have an ear infection or something, problem in your ear, it does have an imbalance. That could be it.
My thing is this. There also has to be a history. You don't overnight become a knockout artist. The way
you're right. I'm with you.
His ears hanging off, his eardrum is busted, and he has a dent in his head. There had to be something else going on in there other than just regular gloves. So there was definitely something fishy about that. And
I'm going to here. Wilder needs to fight Joshua next. That's the money fight. Then Wilder destroys Joshua. Then Fury, and I believe Eddie Cotton, great referee and good guy. That's Vince Kaplak. Like I said, I think they will fight again. But one thing, we got one of our consistent callers, LD, and we laughed about it. At least I did, about Wilder's costume coming in. LD was the only one that said about the costume, and then Wilder complained maybe it was too heavy, which I thought was garbage. He's come up with so many excuses about why he lost.
Claudio, where did you see him say that? Did you see the interview? Did you see him say that?
I seen it too. I seen it too. Me and Claudio.
No, in an interview, you saw it in print, right?
Yeah,
he's going on record saying
me, Claudio and LD. Me, Claudio and LD seen that.
It was old media again disrespecting Wilder, and that's why that happened. He never said it. I've seen a number of interviews. He said he never blamed it on the uniform. He had a number of other reasons, but it was not the uniform. He said his legs were gone. He didn't feel right into the fight.
First of all, black guys don't develop calves. And number two, no black guy with legs that skinny should be walking around with a heavy uniform on, entering the ring, man. Listen, you know what tired him out.
Hey, he definitely needs to get back to do some road work, because there's definitely none being done with those skinny legs. But that's what he is.
What did they used to say about? Remember Tony Atlas? Remember Tony Atlas, the wrestler who had a great upper body? Jesse Ventura said his legs should suit his upper body for lack of support. But you know what? Hopefully they will fight. Because again, it's still a hot name. You don't want to wait too long because people will forget you. Okay, so you want Wilder and Fury should definitely fight again before they fight anybody else, because again, it's not guaranteed they're going to beat that other opponent. But on that note,
Fury's still the king of the gypsies, man. They love him.
Yes,
all the gypsies all
king
over
of the
the
cheaters.
world love him.
The king of the cheaters, yeah, king of the cheaters.
Well, on that, we hope everybody enjoyed the show. Luther, thank you. Jim, thank you. Lee, thank you. Vince, thank you for tuning in and writing. Eric, thank you. It's always fun to do the show. There's not a better show. I'm telling you, there's not a better boxing show. And again, tell me another boxing show that has the connections like we do to this fight. So that's pretty good. Judges, fighters, promoters, trainers, we got it all. Pittsburgh's Ring Talk covers it all. But keep tuning in. Keep checking when we're back on. A lot more fights to talk about. A lot more interesting things to talk about. We have the best guys here on the show with Smoking Jim and Luther. And thank you for tuning in as always. Talk to you soon.